The holographic message flickered into existence above the United Nations Assembly Hall, its blue-white luminescence casting eerie shadows across the faces of Earth's representatives. Maya Reeves, the chief xenodiplomacy officer, stood rigid as the Galactic Council's proclamation echoed through the chamber. By unanimous decree of the 700 civilizations, humanity is hereby excluded from the Galactic Cooperative. Your application for membership is permanently denied. This decision is final and irreversible. The alien avatar, a shimmering construct representing the Council, continued with clinical detachment. Your species demonstrates unacceptable volatility, aggressive expansion patterns, and technological recklessness. You will remain quarantined to your solar system. Any attempt to breach the exclusion boundary will be met with immediate neutralization. Silence fell like a hammer. Maya glanced at William Chen, Earth's Director of Advanced Sciences, who sat in the front row with his fingers steepled beneath his chin. His expression was unreadable, but she noticed the slight upward curl at the corner of his mouth, a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes but spoke volumes nonetheless. The alien avatar awaited a response, its programmed algorithms expecting protest, anger, perhaps even begging. Instead, William stood slowly, adjusted his jacket, and said 2 words, "Thank you." The avatar paused, its code apparently unprepared for gratitude. "You understand the implications of this exclusion." "Perfectly," William replied, his voice carrying the weight of someone who had just been handed an unexpected gift. "You've saved us considerable trouble." 3 months earlier. Maya had been optimistic then. The first contact protocols had gone smoothly, remarkably so. When the Galactic Council's scout ship had entered Earth's orbit, humanity had responded with precisely calibrated scientific curiosity and diplomatic restraint. No weapons fire, no mass panic, just carefully orchestrated communication. The galaxy, it turned out, was ancient and crowded. 700 spacefaring civilizations had formed a cooperative spanning 43,000 light-years. They shared technology, resources, and protection under a complex web of treaties and mutual obligations. "Think of it as cosmic bureaucracy," William had explained to Maya during their first briefing. "They've created a system so interdependent that no single civilization can innovate without committee approval. It's stability through stagnation." Maya had frowned. "But they have FTL travel, antimatter reactors, quantum computing networks spanning galaxies. We're barely scratching the surface of fusion power." "Exactly," William had said, that same enigmatic smile playing on his lips. "They've had those things for millennia. When was the last time they invented something genuinely new?" The Council had offered humanity a probationary membership. In exchange for access to galactic technology, Earth would need to submit to the Technological Regulation Accord, a framework that limited independent research, required approval for any innovation deemed potentially disruptive, and mandated the dismantling of several human projects classified as dangerously experimental. The list had been extensive: quantum consciousness research, artificial gravity manipulation, dimensional fold experiments, and most crucially, humanity's nascent work on what William's team called probability engines. "They want us to stop thinking," William had told the Security Council. "They're offering us a golden cage, and the price of admission is our ability to dream." Maya had understood his concern, but the benefits seemed overwhelming. Instantaneous communication across light years, medical technology that could eliminate disease, clean energy that could power civilization for millions of years. All of it available if humanity would simply agree to play by established rules. The debate had consumed Earth for months. Politicians argued, scientists pontificated, and philosophers worried about the death of human exceptionalism. William had remained silent through most of it, working in his laboratory beneath the Atacama Desert, where his team pursued projects that made the galactic establishment nervous. The probability engine. Maya had visited Williams' facility once, descending through 3 kilometers of reinforced rock to reach the experimental chamber. What she saw there had simultaneously terrified and exhilarated her. Quantum mechanics tells us that particles exist in superposition until observed, William had explained, gesturing toward the massive apparatus that dominated the chamber. Every possibility exists simultaneously until the wave function collapses. But what if we could prevent that collapse? What if we could navigate between probability streams? "You're talking about parallel universes," Maya had said, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm talking about making choices that aren't choices," William had corrected. "About exploring every possible outcome simultaneously and then selecting the optimal reality. The Galactic Council has declared this research forbidden, not because it's dangerous, but because it's transformative. If we succeed, we won't need their technology. We'll have access to something far more fundamental." Maya had watched as his team conducted a test. A simple experiment, a photon fired at a detector, its path theoretically determined by quantum probability. Except in Williams' apparatus, the photon appeared to take all possible paths simultaneously, and the researchers could observe and interact with each outcome before collapsing the superposition. "The implications," Maya had begun, "are revolutionary," William had finished, "and the Council knows it. That's why they want us to stop." The decision. The UN Security Council had voted narrowly in favor of accepting the Council's probationary membership. The decision required humanity to dismantle its most advanced research projects and submit to galactic oversight. William had attended the final session, sitting quietly in the back of the chamber as Earth's leaders debated humanity's future. When called upon to speak, he had simply said, "If we accept these terms, we'll survive. We'll probably even prosper by conventional measures, but we'll never be more than junior partners in someone else's system. We'll trade infinity for safety." The vote had proceeded anyway. Earth would join the Galactic Cooperative. Except the Council had other plans. The revelation. 2 weeks after Earth's acceptance vote, Maya had received a classified intelligence report that changed everything. The Council's internal communications, intercepted by humanity's increasingly sophisticated quantum surveillance network, revealed the truth. The galactic civilizations were afraid. Not of human weapons or military might. Earth's arsenal was laughably primitive compared to species that had weaponized stars and folded space like paper. They were afraid of human innovation, of the reckless velocity with which humanity approached problems the galactic establishment had long since declared unsolvable. "They're not offering us membership," Maya had told William, her hands shaking as she reviewed the intercepted data. "They're offering us containment. The probationary period has no end date because they never intended to grant full membership. They want to study us, control us, and prevent us from developing technologies that could disrupt their carefully balanced order." William had nodded slowly, unsurprised. "They've become risk-averse to the point of paralysis. 700 civilizations, all locked in a stable equilibrium that hasn't produced a genuine breakthrough in 10,000 years. And then we show up, barely out of our cradle, already poking at the fundamental fabric of reality with probability engines and quantum consciousness interfaces." "What do we do?" Maya had asked. William's smile had finally reached his eyes. "We wait, and we prepare." The exclusion. The Council's formal exclusion had come as a relief to those who understood what was really at stake. The official justification cited humanity's volatility and recklessness, but the intercepted communications told a different story. Humanity had failed its probationary period deliberately. Williams' team had conducted a series of experiments specifically designed to trigger the Council's safety protocols, tests that pushed the boundaries of accepted physics without crossing into genuinely dangerous territory. We needed them to show their hand, William explained to Maya after the exclusion was announced. As long as they thought they could control us, they'd keep us tangled in their bureaucracy. But if they thought we were genuinely dangerous, they'd do exactly what they did, quarantine us and walk away. But the exclusion boundary, Maya protested. They've established a quantum barrier around our entire solar system. We're trapped. William's smile widened. Are we? Walking away. The probability engine achieved its first breakthrough 6 months after the exclusion. William's team successfully navigated between probability streams, effectively creating a controlled superposition that allowed them to observe and interact with alternate quantum states. The implications were staggering. Why travel through space conventionally when you could simply shift to a probability stream where your destination was already reached? Why accept one timeline when you could explore thousands and select the optimal outcome? Maya watched from the observation deck as the first test succeeded. A probe, launched from Earth, simply ceased to exist in local space-time. Not destroyed, not moved through conventional space, it had shifted into a different probability stream entirely. 3 minutes later, it reappeared, having traversed a distance that should have required decades at subluminal speeds. The exclusion boundary only exists in this probability stream, William explained. The Council's technology is sophisticated, but it's still rooted in conventional space-time. They've built a cage, but they didn't account for the possibility that we might simply step sideways out of it. Over the following year, humanity expanded outward through probability space. Not into the galaxy the Council controlled, but into adjacent quantum realities where the rules were subtly different, where resources were more abundant, where physics itself offered new possibilities. They found worlds untouched by galactic civilization, not because the Council hadn't discovered them, but because they existed in probability streams the Council's technology couldn't access. They found materials that shouldn't exist according to conventional physics. They found answers to questions the galactic establishment had stopped asking millennia ago. The return message. 3 years after the exclusion, Maya stood in the same UN Assembly Hall where the Council had pronounced humanity's quarantine. This time, she was transmitting a message outward, knowing the Council's surveillance networks would intercept it. To the Galactic Council, she began, her voice steady and confident. Thank you for the exclusion. Your decision freed us from the burden of your bureaucracy and the limitations of your imagination. While you've spent millennia perfecting what you already know, we've spent these years discovering what you've forgotten how to seek. She paused, glancing at William, who stood beside her. He nodded encouragement. We don't seek membership in your cooperative. We don't need your technology or your approval. We've found something you lost long ago, the willingness to risk, to fail, to reach beyond what should be possible into what might be. Humanity is walking away, she continued. Not in retreat, but in exploration. We're going places your civilization can't follow, not because you lack the technology, but because you lack the courage. Your galaxy is vast but finite. Our possibilities are infinite. The message transmitted, carrying across normal space where the Council would certainly detect it. But its true significance lay in what went unsaid. Humanity had already left, stepping sideways into probability streams where the Council's ancient order held no authority. William placed a hand on Maya's shoulder. They'll realize eventually what they've lost, not our membership, but the chance to remember what it means to truly explore. Maya nodded, looking up at the stars visible through the dome's transparent ceiling. Somewhere out there, the Galactic Council maintained its careful equilibrium, 700 civilizations locked in comfortable stagnation. And somewhere else, everywhere else, humanity reached outward through infinite probability, smirking at the cage they'd been offered and the infinite possibilities they'd chosen instead. The galaxy had decided to exclude Earth. Humanity had smirked and walked away into something far greater. End